The first gunshot shattered the calm like thunder ripping through glass. Everyone inside the crowded bank dropped to the floor screaming. Mothers shielded their children. Security guards froze in fear. Phones crashed against marble tiles. Outside, Lagos traffic roared like nothing unusual was happening, but inside the bank, time stopped. Everybody down, a masked voice thundered. 3 armed men stormed through the entrance wearing black tactical jackets. Their leader moved differently from the others, calm, controlled, terrifyingly focused. Black gloves. Black mask. Black boots. He didn't shout unnecessarily. He didn't wave his rifle wildly. He walked like a man who already knew how this day would end. The customers feared the guns. But the employees feared him. At the center office upstairs, bank manager Amora Bello looked up from her computer as alarms exploded across the building. Her heart slammed violently against her ribs. Not today. Please, not today. She rushed toward the security monitor and saw masked robbers forcing people to the ground. One of the robbers pointed upward. "They've got a manager upstairs." Footsteps thundered toward her office. Amora grabbed her phone with trembling fingers and dialed emergency services, but before the call connected, bang! Her office door burst open. The leader stepped inside. For one suspended second, neither of them moved. Amora expected rage in his eyes. Instead, she saw sadness. Deep. Heavy. Ancient sadness. "Hands where I can see them," he ordered quietly. His voice wasn't cruel. That frightened her more. Amora slowly raised her hands. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. The robber locked the door behind him. "Yes," he replied softly. "I do." Downstairs, terrified customers cried while money was stuffed into bags. Sirens screamed faintly in the distance. But upstairs, inside that office, something strange happened. The criminal couldn't stop staring at her. And Amora couldn't understand why the dangerous man in front of her looked like someone trying not to break apart. "You're shaking," he noticed. "You're holding a rifle. You're still standing." The words hit harder than they should have. Amora swallowed carefully. "What do you want?" "The vault." "And if I refuse?" He stepped closer. Close enough for her to smell smoke and rain on his jacket. "I don't want anyone hurt." "That depends on you." Her breathing quickened. Yet beneath the fear, another emotion appeared, curiosity. Who was this man? Why did his voice sound educated? Controlled? Why did he move like someone who hated violence but knew it intimately? Suddenly, another robber burst into the office. "Kai. Police are surrounding the area." The leader turned sharply. "How long?" 5 minutes max. "Get everyone ready." The robber nodded and left. Amora noticed the leader's hands tightening around the rifle. Not panic. Pressure. Responsibility. Like the lives downstairs mattered to him. "You don't look like a killer," she said carefully. He laughed once. A hollow sound. "That's because you met me too late." Sirens grew louder. The city was closing in. The leader stepped toward her again. "Open the vault." Amora hesitated. He leaned closer and lowered his voice. "If you don't, my men become unpredictable." There it was. Not a threat. A warning. She realized immediately. The most dangerous people in the building might not be him. Slowly, Amora reached for her vault access card. But before she could move, an explosion rocked the lower floor. Screams erupted downstairs. The leader spun toward the door instantly. "What happened?" He backed into his radio. Static. Then, police entered from the back. Gunfire erupted. Real gunfire. Chaos exploded beneath them. Amora flinched violently as bullets echoed through the bank. The leader cursed under his breath. Then he did something unexpected. He grabbed her hand. "We are leaving." Her eyes widened. "What?" If you stay here, you die. And before Amora could resist, the criminal pulled the bank manager, the hostage he was supposed to control, into the collapsing nightmare below. Neither of them knew that before sunrise, one of them would be betrayed. And the other would fall in love. The lower floor had become a battlefield. Smoke curled through shattered glass while terrified customers cried beneath overturned desks. One robber lay bleeding beside the entrance. Another fired wildly toward police vehicles outside. Amora stumbled as the masked leader dragged her behind a pillar just as bullets ripped through the wall above them. "You brought me into this," she shouted. "I'm trying to get you out alive." Another explosion shook the bank. The leader grabbed a smoke grenade from his belt and threw it across the hall. Thick smoke swallowed the room instantly. "Move." He pulled Amora through the chaos toward a hidden emergency exit behind the vault corridor. But one of the robbers blocked their path. "Boss. We can't leave with her." "We are," the leader snapped. "She saw your face." The room went silent. Amora froze. The leader slowly removed his mask himself. Dark eyes. Scar along his jaw. A face hardened by pain. "My name is Xavier," he said quietly. "And if anybody touches her, I'll kill them myself." For the first time, Amora realized the hostage situation had changed. She was no longer a prisoner. She was under his protection. Rain hammered the rusted rooftop of the abandoned apartment where Xavier hid his crew. Amora sat tied loosely to a chair while Xavier cleaned blood from a cut on his arm. The other robbers argued in another room. "You should have left her," one growled. "You're becoming weak." Xavier ignored them. Amora studied him carefully. Beneath the hardened criminal exterior was exhaustion. Pain. Regret. "Why me?" she asked. "You stayed calm." "That's not an answer." He sighed heavily. "You reminded me of someone." Before she could ask more, shouting erupted outside. Police sirens. Everyone panicked. One robber grabbed Amora violently. "We use her as leverage." Xavier snapped instantly. In one brutal movement, he slammed the man into the wall and pointed a gun at his head. "She is not collateral." The room fell silent. Amora stared at him in shock. Because for the first time, she realized Xavier feared losing her more than getting caught. That night, power failed across the building. Candles flickered between them. Xavier finally spoke. Years earlier, he had been an engineering student with dreams of building skyscrapers across Lagos. But after his father was framed by corrupt businessmen and died in prison, everything collapsed. "No one listened," Xavier said bitterly. "The bank funded the people who destroyed my family." Amora's heart tightened. "You robbed the bank for revenge?" "No," he whispered. "For survival." He revealed the truth: his younger sister needed an expensive surgery. The robbery money was supposed to save her life. Suddenly Xavier no longer looked like a monster. He looked desperate, human, and dangerously broken. Days passed in hiding. Against all logic, tension between them deepened. They argued constantly, challenged each other. Yet slowly, fear transformed into connection. One night during a thunderstorm, Amora found Xavier alone on the balcony staring at the city. "You carry guilt like chains," she said softly. "You see too much. And you pretend not to care too much." He looked at her then. Really looked at her. The distance between them disappeared slowly. Then suddenly, his lips met hers. One forbidden kiss. Raw. Emotional. Dangerous. But downstairs, someone watched from the shadows. And smiled. Because betrayal had already begun. The next morning police stormed the safe house. Gunfire exploded everywhere. "Someone sold us out," Xavier shouted. His crew scattered in panic. Amora barely escaped bullets as Xavier shielded her with his body. Together they fled through narrow back alleys soaked with rainwater. But during their escape, Xavier discovered the truth. His closest friend, Malik, had betrayed him to the police in exchange for immunity and money. The betrayal shattered him more than the bullets. Because Malik was like a brother. And now he wanted Xavier dead. News channels across Nigeria exploded with the story. Dangerous criminal kidnaps bank manager. Amora watched her own face across television screens while hiding in cheap motel rooms with Xavier. But something unexpected happened online. People began questioning the official story. Some believed Xavier wasn't the true villain. Especially after evidence surfaced linking the bank to money laundering and political corruption. Amora slowly realized the robbery was connected to something much bigger. Something powerful people wanted buried forever. Xavier finally revealed the real reason for the heist. It was never about money. Inside the bank vault was a flash drive containing financial records capable of exposing politicians, businessmen, and criminal networks. The robbery had been a cover operation. And now powerful men were hunting both of them. "You should leave me," Xavier told her. Amora shook her head. "No." "Why?" "Because everyone abandoned you already." For the first time in years, Xavier nearly cried. They hid inside an abandoned church outside the city. But Malik found them. The confrontation turned deadly. Malik revealed he had secretly worked with corrupt officials from the beginning. "You were always expendable," Malik sneered. A brutal fight erupted between the former friends. In the end, Xavier lowered his weapon. But Malik didn't. Bang! Amora screamed as Xavier collapsed. Amora dragged Xavier through the rain and hid him inside a small clinic run by an old doctor. For 3 days Xavier drifted near death. Amora never left his side. When he finally woke, weak and pale, she broke down crying. "You came back," she whispered. Xavier touched her face gently. No one ever stayed before. And in that fragile moment, they truly fell in love. Using the flash drive, Amora contacted an investigative journalist. Together they planned a public broadcast exposing the corruption network. But the closer they came to revealing the truth, the more dangerous everything became. Assassins followed them. Phones were tapped. Police units were bribed. Someone powerful wanted them silenced permanently. The journalist was murdered before the broadcast. Xavier blamed himself instantly. Amora nearly lost hope. But Xavier refused to run anymore. "For once," he said, "we finished this." Together they prepared one final move. Not robbery. Not escape. War. Ironically, everything ended where it began. The bank. Xavier and Amora secretly entered the building during a public charity gala hosted by the corrupt executives. The same halls once filled with terror now carried deadly silence. They uploaded every hidden file onto the building's central network. Then alarms triggered. Security teams closed in. The countdown began. Police surrounded the bank again. History repeated itself. But this time Xavier walked out unarmed. Alone. He surrendered publicly while the corruption fire spread across every news station in the country. The crowd erupted. Executives were arrested live on television. But as Xavier was taken away in handcuffs, snipers hidden nearby received one final order. Eliminate him. Amora saw the red laser first. And ran toward him. The gunshot echoed through the streets. But it wasn't Xavier who fell. It was Malik. The traitor had tried to kill Xavier himself before police shot him down. Months later, the corruption scandal reshaped the nation. Xavier received a reduced sentence after helping expose the criminal network. Public opinion shifted. Many saw him not as a hero. But not entirely as a villain either. Amora visited him every week. Every single week. Until finally, one rainy afternoon, Xavier walked out of prison. Free. The world outside felt unfamiliar. But Amora stood waiting beside the gate. Smiling through tears. "You still came back," he whispered. "I told you," she said softly. "Not everyone leaves." He held her like a man holding on to life itself. Behind them, the prison gates closed forever. Ahead of them stood an uncertain future filled with scars, consequences, and hope. But for the first time, Xavier wasn't running from the darkness anymore. Because somehow, inside the chaos of a bank robbery, he had found the one thing he never believed he deserved.